Hello, welcome back to another 1001 beers you must try before you die. We have another beer here from England, first brewed in 1979. It's 5%, and this may seem like deja vu, but it is indeed a Sam Smith's beer again, but it's Taddy Porter this time. In fact, it says the famous Taddy Porter. So let's talk about the bottle first of all, because there's a lot to talk about. So you've got the lovely gold kind of foil there at the top, which kind of indicates it's a higher quality of beer. It says Samuel Smith, Old Brewery, Tadcaster. And it has this kind of like, this kind of old school black and then red kind of wedge there. It says the Old Brewery, Samuel Smith, Tadcaster, 1758, trademark, the famous Taddy Porter, product of the UK. So on the back it says Samuel Smith's the famous Taddy Porter, brewed with well water, the original well at the Old Brewery, sunk in 1758, is still in use, with the hard well water being drawn from 85 feet underground, malted barley, roasted malt, yeast and hops, fermented in stone Yorkshire squares. If you want to know about those, I'm not going to talk about them again, look at the last review about Nut Brown Ale, and I talk about those in depth. And there are some pictures here of the production. One is of the stone Yorkshire squares, the other one is adding whole dried hops to the wort in the boiling copper, which is basically the brewing production method. It says it's the oldest brewery in Yorkshire. I'm sure that's true. It says vegan as well. So there's a huge story in here which actually has got some very interesting things. But first of all, let's crack this open and pour the beer and let it breathe for a bit. A nice beer here from nice glass here from Loddon Brewery, which are based in South Oxfordshire. Very local brewery. Hello to them if they're watching. Oh, this has got a nice glug sound to it. It may not all fit in the glass. It will not be bottle condition because they don't do that. So I'll come back to the rest of that in a bit. Massive head on that. That's brilliant. So the tasting notes, then we'll tell you about the beer a bit. It's on one side, and you can let that breathe for a bit. A dark ruby beer with chocolate, caramel, and sweet tobacco in the aroma. The taste is tangy and gently bitter, with a bitter chocolate, licorice, and coffee notes, followed by a dry, bitter, and nutty finish with roasted grain coming to the fore. Now, I will talk about the description a bit, but obviously it's a porter, first brewed in 1979, so it's not going to be one of the more modern porters, but it is an interesting scenario. So let's talk about the look first. It says deep ruby. It is indeed. It's almost black, to be honest. There's very little you can see through. I'd say it's probably black. I mean, in the picture it's black. Chocolate, caramel, and sweet tobacco in the aroma. Now, don't like the sound of tobacco, but let's see what it smells like. There is a bit of tobacco, actually. That's odd. Chocolate and caramel, definitely. And it has a kind of spiciness. Yeah, I think that's quite an accurate description, actually. I think we'll go for the taste. Cheers. Okay, lighter taste than I was expecting. It says the taste is tangy and gently bitter. That's very true. It is both those things. Bitter chocolate, licorice, and coffee notes. So I'm not getting licorice. Good. I hate licorice. A little bit of bitter chocolate. Definitely some coffee notes. Followed by a dry, bitter, and nutty finish with roasted grain comes to the fore. It's very roasty. There's a huge amount of roasted malt in that. It is quite dry. Yeah, there is quite a lot of bitterness in it, but it's a very pleasant beer. I mean, it tastes like a proper old school porter. I quite like that. It's a good example of porter. Now, I'm going to let that sit there for a while, and I'm going to come back to the flavours in a minute, but I want to talk about the beer a bit and about the brewery, because there's some information about the brewery I had no idea about, and it's quite interesting. So, let's talk about a bit about the water supply. We talked about that before. Sam Smith's took over the site formerly run by John Smith's brewery. Turns out Sam Smith was John Smith's nephew. I had no idea about that. That's really interesting to know. It says, it's a strange, unconventional silence that surrounds Sam's today. It remains in the hands of the founder's descendants, and is a deeply private company that shuns all media inspection, instead allowing its beers to do the talking. In this publicity-conscious world, it's a professionally different approach to marketing, and with the beers saying plenty of good things, Sam doesn't seem to be the one losing out. I'll talk about that in a minute, because there's something local which I want to talk about. It says, while the company makes a number of fine draft beers, its famous is built on its bottle beers, including the robust Taddy Porter. Introduced in 1979, against a trend of time when porters were seldom found in the United Kingdom. The rave reviews it received no doubt prompted other breweries to reassess their dark beer provision. It's too much to expect Sam to let us in on the brewing secrets behind this beer, but it's clearly an ample helping of dark grain in the mash tun to bring out that deep ruby colour and rich roasted barley flavour. So, they don't reveal their ingredients, don't know what hops are in it, don't know what malts are in it, but we can assume it's got dark malt in it. Let's go for another taste. Now, Sandsmiths, I live in Reading. There is a Sandsmiths Sandsmiths pub in Reading called the Lower Ship. It's the most consistent pub in all of Reading. Hasn't changed since 1989 because it's been closed since 1989. But every year, Sandsmiths renew the pub licence and don't open the pub. It appears to be based on some sort of disagreement with Sandsmiths and Reading Borough Council, and they haven't agreed, and it's still remained closed. And any opportunity to try and contact Sandsmiths about this pub are rebuffed, and they won't even talk about it. So, if you're reading this and you live in Reading, you can't drink the Sandsmiths beers very easily. They're hard to get hold of. I think the only place you can find it is a bar called Risk, but I'm not going to go into that too much. I'll go back to the beer. Regardless of the interesting scenario in Reading, there is no slight on the beer themselves, because the company is essentially shouldn't leave too much for sour taste in the mouth. Haha. I think the beer should indeed speak for itself. I think that's quite important. This is a really good example of a traditional English porter. It's not exciting by today's standards by any way, shape or form. There are far better porters out there. I've had some brilliant porters in the recent years. This is just solid, I'd say. A bit strong though. I say it probably doesn't need to be 5%. With a better standard English porters that are 4%. Would taste better and have a bigger depth of flavour. So that's my main comment on this. It is quite nice. If somebody handed me this and say, hey, do you want this? I'd be like, yeah, great. I'll easily drink this. It's fairly quaffable, not too complex. It's got a nice maltiness, a nice bitterness. It will not set your world alight. It's like a nut brown ale. Nut brown ale was lovely, but it's of its time, and it sits aside lots of things. So much in this book is about actually historical context. So this beer is still good, but it's nowhere near as good as other porters being brewed in England right now. But if you want to taste a traditional English porter, you could go not too far wrong if you have this one. It's a good example of a traditional English porter, probably brewed in the sort of style. I know it says 1979, but it's still brewed in the style that was of olden times when the porter was still out and very, very popular. There's not a lot else to say about this one, to be fair. So I'm going to leave it there and go and drink the rest of this. I'm not going to have any trouble drinking this. I delight to drink it. I can't say I'd have it on draft because you can't get it on draft. It's bottled only. The draft beers at Sandsmiths are completely different to the bottle beers. Go on their website. That's fascinating. And all their beers, bizarrely, even being a really old brewery, the oldest brewery in Yorkshire, most of their beers are keg beers. It's an interesting scenario. So look at their website and look up all the information about them. I'm not going to bang on about them too much, but they are a fascinatingly bizarre brewery that are both traditional and weird at the same time. So I'll leave it there. Have you had this one before? Let me know. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you for another beer review soon.